joining us as we get back from our little sojourn. So Barrett, I know you had fun in Florida. How'd you do fish wise, man? Did you crush it? What was going on with you and Captain Tony down there doing your thing?
Bro, unbelievable. We fished 3 days straight, nonstop, hardcore fishing, bro.
Okay.
I just want you to know, the first day kicked my butt.
Really? What specifically?
Oh, man. We're catching amberjacks, bro. These amberjacks were huge. Huge. Bro, I caught one, bro, that was this probably about 50, 60 pounds, man. It was an amberjack, man. I'm talking about strong, fighting. I'm talking about, I was so tired that my biceps and triceps were killing me. My shoulders. I needed a massage, man. That's how bad bro. I mean, it was crazy, man. Crazy. And then you get it up, you almost there, and all of a sudden, bam, a shark will come get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We saw the one, it was the video we saw. Remember, Derek? And he was, or was it just a still? I'm trying to remember. He was trying to reel in something that looked really heavy. Your rod was literally like bent.
Bro, the rods were bending down so far that it was almost hitting the boat.
Oh
That's
God.
how big these fish are. And these were big time rods that we were working with. I mean, it was unbelievable, man. I felt, Captain Tony said he almost died. I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah,
I was crying out. See, that's what I'm talking about.
He's
man.
dropping dimes on you.
Yeah, man. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, I was gassed, and I suffered straight through it, though. I got it up, bro. I got it there.
Brooks, what you don't know is Captain Tony was sending me pictures of you. And my favorite picture was you laying in the bottom of the boat, mouth open, dead asleep.
Bro, I needed a break, dog. I'm glad we were in a sports fishing. So I just went in, man. I laid down, man. Like, we were going to another spot. I'm like, you know what? I got to take a nap, man. I'm going to lay down, man. But what Captain Tony didn't tell you, that he was laying right next to me, but then he woke up, took the picture, and then went back to sleep.
And then passed out.
Ain't hear about nothing. You know what I'm saying? The pot called the kettle black. He went in there first. You know what I'm saying? He just woke up before I did.
Good. Good. I'm glad you had fun.
You catch any tuna?
Bro, that's what happened the next day. Well, let me finish. Let me finish off with. So after we finished that day, man, we caught, he caught a kingfish. Bro, man, and we took all that fish, went back, had it all filleted up and everything.
Yeah, man.
And we took them to a restaurant, and they cooked our fish for us.
Oh, that's cool.
Go. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, the fish was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. We ate so much, dog, that I couldn't wait to get back to the room and go to sleep.
Just pass out.
Oh, man. You know what I'm saying? And it was the next day. And we went out, we might have caught 100 fish the next day. We were catching tuna upon tuna. And these tunas are like, anywhere from 15 to 20 pound tunas. I mean, it was just nonstop action. Grab one, after we got our limit, we start throwing them back. Man. That's how many tuna we were catching, dog.
Damn.
After we finished that day, went back, filleted them up, had tuna 4 or 5 different ways. Tuna tartare, tuna nachos. I mean, you name it, bro. We had tuna sushi roll. It was crazy, man. It was amazing how good the fish was, man. We got so much, man. Like, we were giving it to the people around us. People, hey, come on, you can have something too. We telling people around other tables.
Oh, that's awesome.
Have something too. Yeah, it was great, man. I had a great time, man.
People who don't fish don't realize the difference in the taste of fish right out of the water compared when you buy fish in a store.
Oh,
the taste is so different.
Way different.
Oh,
way different. I mean, and to eat all that, man, and sit back, and have people around us, partaking it with us. And, what I'm saying, we had a great, captain, what I'm saying. It was just a great time with great people, enjoying what you love, man. And these are memories, bro. So once again, next year, a week after the Super Bowl, we're going down again. So I'm cordially inviting you guys right now to put in your schedule right now to come on down.
All right. Yeah.
Was the charter expensive?
Between the 4 of us, it was like $400 a day.
That's it?
Yes.
That's not bad.
Half day or all day?
All day, babe. All day.
Wow.
Well, the half day, we fished the half day, and it was only like $250. But you know, we it was more because we tipped our cap, man. You know, you got to tip the cap.
Right.
You know, he did everything, and then he went out to eat with us afterwards. And the first night he picked up the bill.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, he picked up the dinner bill. Yeah,
that's cool. That is cool.
He was great, man.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad
you had fun. Those charter captains in Florida make some serious money.
Oh yeah,
because so many people, not just from the United States but worldwide, go down there. Whether it's off the coast of California, Florida, South Carolina, them dudes make some money. Now it's seasonal, but they make six-figure incomes in like 6-7 months compared to some people not making that in a year.
Mm-hmm.
See, the only thing is that's messed up is that they that after all these storms that came through the Keys, man, they're just starting. This storm was like 5 years ago. The Keys are just now starting to get back from that, and you know what I'm saying. And there's so many people that's out of work down there and everything else. It's tough, man.
Hey, you might have got in and out of there at the right time, because one of the big stories people are watching nationally is that there's this algae bloom floating in that's coming up is almost as wide as the United States.
What?
That's how big this algae bloom is. It's coming up towards the Bahamas, Cuba, all this stuff, man. And they're saying it's like one of the worst algae bloom ever, and they're trying to figure out how they can control this thing, because it will directly affect fishing. If it hits the United States coast, especially that Florida coast, it's going to affect a lot of fishing down there.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope not. Let's put it that way. Hey, CJ Gardner-Johnson at his press conference with the Detroit media, quote, "It is what it is. The past is the past. I'm here for now. I'm here now. Brand new team, new city, trying to win some games." So for whatever it's worth, I'll pass along anything that he says of interest here as we move forward here. Let me give you a couple other.
Him and his agent were made for each other. When you consider some of the stupidity behind both of them, they were made for each other.
He says, "I have no bad blood. People overreact to a tweet in free agency. It was never disrespectful to the organization. Organization treated me like family. It's just got to do what's best for your family." Okay. Right.
All right. Backtrack.
Yep. That's a little damage control. So, all right. Let's look at the people who left, including CJGJ, which we've touched on quite a bit, but he leaves 1 year, $8 million in Detroit. Detroit's going to be trouble. Detroit is going to be trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Make no mistake. It'll be good. As much as it looks like Green Bay is going to take that big step back in the North, which I think they will eventually when this Rodgers thing, if it ever mercifully comes to an end, if we don't have to deal with it anymore. I think the Vikings, obviously with 13 wins and maybe having a better defensive coordinator, are going to be, a tough team. But I think Detroit is going to really give Minnesota a run for their money in that.
I do too.
In that division. All right, but so back to who the Eagles lost. But let's go through this, guys, and you tell me the ones that are really going to hurt versus Javon Hargrave.
Big hurt.
That's a hurt.
That's a big hurt.
That leaves a mark.
Yeah.
The thing is, I thought TJ Edwards and Marcus Epps deals were pretty reasonable.
Yeah, they were.
All things considered, feels like they could have made that happen, man. Like that one, those two feel like maybe they just didn't love him that much. They liked him, but didn't love him. I
think Edwards just wanted to go home.
Yeah, he's a Chicago guy.
Yeah, he played at Wisconsin. But hey, you can't pay everybody, dude. You still got that big price tag you got to account for coming up in Hurts.
Right.
You can't pay everybody. You have to make strategic moves as much as you want to try to keep everybody. You can't, because he's got to try to fit these numbers. When that Hurts number comes out, you got to fit that under the cap as well. However they structure it, it's got to fit under this cap. So kudos to Howie for bringing back more people than I thought he was going to be able to bring back.
Right.
You got to get younger at some positions to be able to take care of that quarterback and to keep this train moving.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think it had a lot to do with them wanting Dean to play the Mike linebacker. They didn't necessarily want him to play the Will. I think they wanted to play the Mike linebacker. And because of that, I don't think that it would have worked with TJ, because TJ right now is better than the Kobe Dean. and which would force him to play the will linebacker. And I don't think they wanted him at the will. They want him to play the Mike linebacker and go up and being that Mike linebacker for the future.
Mm-hmm. Is he big enough to play the Mike?
He's been that size his entire life, so that's what he keeps telling me. He's been that way his entire life.
I like he used his quote.
Yeah, he's been that way his entire life. So he tells me that and say, "All right, I can play it, and I'm going to play it."
Okay, so here's the thing with that quote. It's a great quote, right? But when you were that size in high school, so were a lot of the other guys who were smaller. When you were that size in college, and I know he played at Georgia. Don't get me wrong, but still, you're playing with bigger cats here in the NFL, but we'll see. Look, I think they clearly believe that those two guys can play, or you don't let some of these people go.
Yep, and then the Epps, that was shocking to me because he took a lot less money than I thought he was going to take, and I think that they needed him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not all the way convinced. I'm not like everybody else that is convinced that Blankenship is the answer. He's the starter.
Not either.
So
let me give you a little interesting twist here. So Jim Trotter of the NFL Network says that after the Lions offered the 1 year, $8 million, the Eagles were given the opportunity to match and declined for CJ Gardner-Johnson. Do you think they just got to the point, and I trust Jim's reporting, if that's the case, do you think it just got to the point where they were like, we moved on, man? Like, enough. Yep. I'm done playing these games.
They got tired of his antics. Yes.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want all that rhetoric? And, you know what I'm saying? They probably hid stuff and really just tired of him, doing him. It eventually has to be a team concept.
Yeah.
It's more team than me. So, I mean, I know, the gold standard, it means something in that locker room. Mm-hmm. You're not going to just do and act however you want to act.
Right.
In an Eagles locker room. Just like same thing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh let the best receiver in a long time just leave. They wanted him out of there. They traded him for a box of Cracker Jacks.
Yep.
And some planter nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They got him up out of there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play that, man. I've seen them. They did that twice, though 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Receivers could be prima donnas, and they got all those guys out of who,
That's right.
Holmes out of there. They got my boy Plex out of there, and and then they went and got 80 out of there.
Yeah.
So they don't play that in their locker room. They don't play that. There's a standard in which the Eagles have it, and I think CJ kind of broke that standard, and they were like, you know what, good luck.
Yep.
There are a lot of teams that will put up with a lot of antics off the field from players.
Yep.
Pittsburgh is not one of them. They are one of the best run organizations in the entire NFL. They are loyal. They are loyal to their players. They don't have a lot of turnover. Even when the public outcries to get rid of this one, get rid of that one, they've been screaming for years to get rid of Mike Tomlin. Yet Mike Tomlin keeps that team relevant every year. You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone a lot of times.
Yep.
But I will say this, the Rooney family has never buckled to outside pressure in any way, shape, or form. There's something to be said in this day and age, when you look at how coaches turn over in this league, there's something to be said for an organization that has only had 3 coaches since 1969. Something to be said for that.
Yep.
That's respect at its finest, and that's why a lot of people want to go there. Because of the way they treat you, even if you're only there short term. How many times do you hear a lot of people talking negatively about the Steelers organization? Very seldom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I covered that organization for 10 years. It always fascinated me how they run it. They're very low key. There's not a lot of public distractions with that team. And they have been consistent in how they've handled their business, from the grandfather to the father to the son now running that organization. They have been consistent in terms of what their model is and how they want to run it.
Yeah. So CJGJ, Hargrave, you guys rank as the next biggest hit, so to speak. Edwards, Epps, Kaiser White, Miles Sanders, Sayamalu, Minshew, Pascal. Yeah.
As far as impact, you got to go Sayamalu, but as far as I didn't think he was going to get the money he was going to get. That would have to be Miles Sanders.
Yeah. I was surprised. Carolina paid him well. They paid him like an upper
4 years
upper echelon running back.
and he was,
Yeah.
he was a top 5 running back in the league. His numbers made it seem like he was a Pro Bowler. We tend to kind of look at him like, all right, it's just Miles Sanders. But around the league, he was a pretty big deal. You know what I'm saying? He was something everybody looked at like, all right, they have a running game because of Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. So because we're so used to that running back by committee, we didn't give him the just due to, others around the league looked at him like that. And Deuce and, the Carolina Panthers paid him accordingly. $25 million over 4 years.
I think he goes down as a really good Eagle. It's hard for a running back in this offense to be great. And so I think he goes down as a really solid Eagle. I thought he had a really good year. There were still things that frustrated you about him. Sometimes he would still bounce things outside, and he didn't do it as much as he used to when he was younger. He stayed healthy. He didn't put the ball on the ground, although they got a little lucky, with him in the Super Bowl twice. Yeah. But nonetheless, I still think goes down as a good Eagle. He wanted to be here.
He was,
they were kind of done with him.
I think he was an okay Eagle.
Yeah, I'm not saying great. He was solid.
Yeah, like I think he underachieved 2.5 out of the 4 years he was here.
Okay.
Well, I told you guys before the season was over in January he wasn't coming back for whatever reason. They had already identified well before the conclusion of the season that they were going to move on from him for whatever the case may be. He had his best season as a pro. He only had 2 fumbles, and they were, I think, back-to-back games. He had 2 fumbles, which is a really good number for a running back nowadays. He's explosive. He can catch the ball. He improved as a blocker. He wasn't a great blocking running back, but he improved a lot as a blocking running back. But they had already identified that it was time to move on from Miles Sanders. So no matter what he did, they were of the mindset we're going in a different direction. Now, does Rashad Penny mean he's better? No. It's just that they were just looking for something different. They had, I don't know what it was exactly that frustrated them the most about Miles. Maybe it was the fact that he still would not put his foot in the ground, just turn up the field every time. He was still trying to break stuff to the outside. Whatever the case may be, which I found really interesting, that a player, no matter what he did, couldn't change the opinion of the organization as it got down to crunch time of the season, that maybe we should consider bringing this guy back.
Organizations do that all the time, though.
Sure they do. Sure
like,
they do.
Even with me, I started my 6.5, 7 years of my first, first years in the league. I was a starter. Then all of a sudden, bam, I leave Detroit and go to Green Bay. Now that everybody's labeling me a backup, how do I go from a backup and all my starts and then go to being, I'm a starter and all of a sudden I'm a backup, and can't start games. I play better coming off the bench. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I'm a starter, but you're going to label me that. So once teams get a notion of what they think you are, it's tough to get that label off of you. Really, really tough. Really tough.
Well, he's going to get an opportunity for sure in Carolina. There's no doubt about that. And he's got the familiarity with Deuce, so that's a big help. And Frank Reich.
Frank, yeah.
Was Frank gone?
What do you mean?
When
Frank wasn't there. Frank wasn't there.
Yeah, but definitely Deuce. Okay.
Deucey.
All right. Is it an automatic to just say, hey, they're plugging Juergens in at guard, or could they go a different direction?
What directions do they go? Could
they draft somebody, maybe keep Juergens as your swing guy who can play guard or center in a backup situation, or is it definitely Juergens at the starter?
Well, you got to look at let me look at the lineup, because
I wouldn't count out Driscoll at that right guard spot. I think Driscoll's a better guard than he is a tackle.
Okay.
He definitely is.
No question about it. There's no question.
They don't have a backup tackle right now.
Yeah.
And that's concerning to me. That's why I'm looking at that. The number 10 is just too. You can't get a guy and it wouldn't be sound to draft a guy at number 10 with the talent they have. I think Gardner-Johnson is the only guy, the kid from Ohio State, 6'6", probably 210. He actually, ran a 4.97 at the combine. Really good athlete, but do I see him as being a starter starting off? No. When you're a top 10 pick, you should be a starter starting off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why it's a possibility they might trade back. But when I look at who they have as far as backups, Brett Toth is still here. He's a guard tackle, swing tackle guy. They got Sewell Petta. They love him. He can compete for it. After that, you got,
well, Driscoll's still hanging around.
Yeah.
Driscoll, yeah. Driscoll's probably the only guy that can come in. I don't see any guy right now that can come in and the tackle position is really, really up in the air.
Yeah. Like right now, Driscoll's your backup left tackle. And he's your backup right tackle.
Yep.
Then it's Jared Williams, Fred Johnson. I mean, there are names on this depth chart that like
Julian Good Jones.
Yeah, I don't pretend to even. I couldn't tell you.
Me neither. I don't know who Fred Johnson is. Frederick Johnson is.
I don't.
They got a Fred Johnson or Roderick Johnson. They've got Julian Good Jones, Jared Williams, Tyrese Robinson, Tom Cameron, Sewell Peta. We know Sue. We know Brett Toth. Yep. Brett Toth's the kid that came from the Armed Forces team.
Yep.
And they kept him around for a while now, guard, tackle, that type of player. So those are the two backups right now. Three backups I see that played in games here are Jack Driscoll, Brett Toth, and Sewell Peta.
All right, let's jump to the defensive side. You guys tell me what the depth chart looks like here. All right, for the defense.
Ooh.
I'm going to throw it at you. You tell me how you think this works. Let's assume Brandon Graham's starting, at least for right now. Although, we know edge is Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, but Brandon Graham, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox. This is where it starts to get a little bit interesting. Nakobe Dean.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Christian Ellis.
Christian Ellis, I think, has a shot for sure.
Him or Davion Taylor.
Sean Bradley is in the mix, I guess.
Yep.
The Patrick Johnson.
And one end / stand-up guy. You got you've also got Kyron Johnson also.
Kyron, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, both of those guys. And then, your corners, we know it's Slay and it's Bradbury. And the question is, what do you do with the slot? If you keep it the way it was last year, it's Avante, and then you're looking at safety with all kinds of questions. I mean, there's still guys like Kayvon Wallace. There's Reed Blankenship.
Andre Shea-Charay,
who has been a special teamer. Greedy is now there.
Josh Jobe,
who you could plug in as the slot. Yeah.
Yep. You got Zach McPherson also.
Yep.
And Josiah Scott.
Yeah. And that's it.
So right now, your pencil-in starters are Kayvon Wallace and Reed Blankenship as the two starting safeties. Your starting slot corners, Avante Maddox. Your two outside guys are Darius Slay and James Bradbury.
Yeah.
I think they're going to move Avante Maddox to safety with Reed Blankenship, move in Greedy to the slot, and then have Darius Slay and James Bradbury on the outside. I think you can play with that.
I got to tell you, in doing this exercise, I'm concerned here. There's some concern.
I'm glad you said that. Go ahead, because I'm going to ask you both a question. I'm interested because I've been thinking about this for a week since this past weekend. So
I'm worried about linebacker and safety, man. I mean, I'll just flat out. The defensive line, if Davis can play, I like Milton Williams. I think maybe more than most. I do.
One above all.
I worry about, I don't know that Reed Blankenship's ready. I don't know that, somebody Patrick Johnson. There's a long way to go here, and they can still get people, and they're going to draft people. But it's just you're putting a lot on this offense to drop 30-something every high 30s. It feels like every week.
It works. It can happen. It works.
Yeah,
it works these days. That's the formula that won the Super Bowl last year. And I think they're going to be good enough to do it. I really do think they're going to be good to do it. They need to draft a tackle, a real swing tackle. And in order to do that, you're going to have to go high to do it. You're not going to find those diamond in the roughs all the time like you found with Jordan Mailata.
Yeah.
And we know Lane is getting a little older too. Dude, he was drafted in 13.
Yeah, I know. He and Kelsey have been around a long time. Really
Kelsey
long.
11.
That's why it's insane that they're still
Jeez.
playing at the level they're playing at. But,
Right.
but
Bro,
nonetheless, they're not getting any younger. You're right.
no sacks for 2 years.
Insane. I mean, it's
No QB hits in 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
how is that even possible?
They're phenomenal and they have a great coach.
Well, let me ask you guys
storm.
this. Let me ask you this. Let's look at this. Let's go back to this defense. Are you guys content with the fact that, or are you pleased with the fact that they were able to bring back more people than we thought on this defense? You could say, well, good. This is a defense basically that helped us rack up all these astronomical numbers and get to the Super Bowl. Or do you say this is also the same defense that got shredded like cheese against the Kansas City Chiefs? See, I've been thinking about this all weekend, and I'm not sure where I am right now. It's nice that you have a good nucleus back, but that nucleus got exposed.
Yeah, it did.
And I got concerns more than I have comfort right now in terms of the way this defense is looking, to be honest with you.
Yeah. The big concern with me is still run defense. I know we'll be okay in pass defense. We have guys that can rush the passer. Brandon Graham can rush the passer. Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, they can make it happen. You know, Fletcher Cox, Mildred, they can get to the quarterback. They can create havoc up there. But can those guys stop the run? Do we have linebackers that can stop the run? Nakobe Dean, Christian Ellis, Davion Taylor, Sean Bradley. Can they sure up at those two? We don't have enough right now. We don't have enough linebackers to play in a game, really.
No.
We don't have enough. There is not enough guys to play, you know, right now. Because you play with 3-4, you play with 4 linebackers. 4. And 2 Mike linebackers, like Mike, I call it Mike and a Jack. You got 2. You got the Mike position, you got the Jack position. Then you have the Sam and the Will on the line of scrimmage. Sam and the Will are 2 guys that, you know, really are blitzing type of guys that drop off coverage every once in a while. Like, you know, how many times you have James Harrison dropping off the coverage or Joey Porter dropping off the coverage?
Right.
So those guys essentially be guys who be rushing the passer. I do like Josh Sweat lining up, head up over a tackle. He's long, lanky. I believe he's going to be really, really good there. I also think that BG is going to be very good lining the head up over a tackle because his ability to go inside and outside, you know, he'll be able to beat guys in there. Fletcher Cox being out there also. This could be a very interesting defense because I don't know who Sean Desai is.
That's the thing. What twist is he going to put on? What does he emphasize? What is he going to, you know, in terms of the draft? Who is he going to encourage them? We need this because I like to do this way as opposed to the way that we did it. That's some of the stuff that we just don't know, you know, right now about the site. It's not like you're bringing back the same staff who has the same.
Exactly. Who is he? What's going to be his identity? Yeah,
I think there's definitely some of that. Let me ask you before we get off this. Marcus Mariota comes in, 1-year deal, you know, not crazy money, but, you know, backup quarterback kind of money. Do you feel good about him if he's got to take the reins for a few games? Do you think you've upgraded that spot from Gardner Minshew, who moves on to Indianapolis?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
You won't have to change the offense a bit. He has athleticism enough to run the offense the way it's supposed to be run, instead of having to change the offense how you had to change, you know, last year. Marcus Mariota is good enough to run the read option, to run the zone read. He's a veteran presence in the locker room. He's been there. He's played there. He's been a starter. I think this is a good pickup for him, a really good pickup for him.
When you consider, and we talked about this prior to taking a week off, when you looked at all the quarterbacks that were out there on the market, I think he's the best of the best in terms of what you need him for. And Barrett's right. You won't have to change up the offense much. My concern with Marcus Mariota is you don't know which game he's going to show up. I think this dude has a dual personality. You go back to the guy who his second year in the league looked like that quarterback that came out of Oregon when he had 26 touchdown passes and only 9 interceptions. Then all of a sudden, his third year, he has 13 touchdowns and 15 INTs, and he's been that third year guy more so than that second year guy from that point on in his career. Mm-hmm. You look at what he did down in Atlanta just this past season. He'd come out and have one great game followed up by 2 bad games, and you're wondering, what happened to this dude? Mm-hmm. What really happened to him? Now, luckily, he's in a situation where he may not have to play much, but if he comes to a point, and I hate to say this, because of his style of play, I believe there could be another game or two where Jalen Hurts is going to have to sit out because of his physicality and his style of play, that you're going to have to insert a Marcus Mariota. And I feel good about the fact that he can run that system that Nick Sirianni deploys better than Gardner Minshew, but I don't know who's stepping on the center. It's hard to get a gauge on who this dude is because he hasn't been that dude since his second year in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, man.
Good point. Real good point. All
right, three times in one show. Okay, I got to stop. I'm done for the week. 3 times in one.
Why don't you drop the mic like the agency did for us?
Let me take this mic up. If I wouldn't break this desk, I'd probably drop the mic right now.
I hear you. Let's do a little NFL talk. Let's hit that. Some of the comings and goings in the past week in the league itself, not just the Eagles. We'll branch out who's helped themselves, who took major hits, who's gotten better. We'll do all of that when we come back. So don't go anywhere. That's Derek. That's Barrett. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I want to tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. You might have a home, you might have a business, and you've unfortunately gone through the pain and inconvenience of water, of fire, smoke, mold damage, and you're not really sure who to turn to. Well, Pro Action Restoration is the place you turn to because they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. I can tell you personally, I called them on a Saturday. They got right out. They fixed the problem. The crew was great. The price was right. Everything was on point. They were unbelievable to deal with, just beyond professional. Pro Action Restoration is licensed, bonded, and fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action will work in conjunction with your insurance company also. So it's water, it's fire, it's smoke damage, it's mold remediation, but it's beyond that. Okay. It could be, if you're not even sure, just reach out and call them and they'll let you know. They're great for consultations. 610-623-3760. That's how you reach them. 610-623-3760 or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's Pro Action Restoration.